Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Christine Dance, and it is my great honor to serve the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix as your minister. In this time when we are physically distant, it is so good to be together. We need each other. Welcome to our worship. Welcome home. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspective, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything we do. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability, and disability. We welcome your whole self, your whole family into our worship as we build a community of kindness, caring, courage, and hope. This morning, we celebrate National Coming Out Day and affirm that we are proud to be a welcoming congregation. With gratitude for the words of Monica Jacobson Tennyson, we say, that who you are enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, your anger, and the parts of you that are not yet ready to be seen and heard, and the parts that have bravely come out 100,000 times. We are a people of faith, faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gifts of our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, changing, faith in the capacity to know ourselves and each other ever deeply. Welcome to you who are gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, lesbian, queer, questioning, unable to be contained in any word. Welcome to you who are trans, cis, genderqueer, non-binary, intersex, agender, beyond words. Welcome to you who are human. Welcome to you who are loved and love. Welcome to you who are blessed, which is all of you. May this time together be a blessing. Tomorrow is also National Indigenous Peoples Day here in Phoenix and an increasingly large number of towns and cities and states across this country. Tomorrow, I encourage you to learn more about our Indigenous people, especially here in Arizona. And for our Indigenous and Native folks, I send my love for the richness of your culture, the pride of your heritage, and the heartbreaking oppression of your people. So now I invite you to grab a chalice or a candle in your home and join us as my wife, Karen, lights our chalice and we recite the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in covenant. In fellowship, thus do we covenant.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Quinn, and I am your worship associate this morning. Let me introduce the rest of our worship team. Our music director is Benji Messer. Our director of children's ministries is Katie Resendez. Our pianist, Mary Cota, and you've met Reverend Dance. Behind the scenes, we have our AV guru, Justin Walgren. Carrie Lifshitz is our moderator today and is managing the chat. Our chat is open. You can chat with everyone or just our panelists running the service. As always, we invite you to check in to UUCP on our social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. I have a few announcements about the life of our congregation this morning. All of these announcements can be found on our weekly online newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass on our website, phoenixuu.org. This is the last week to take a photo for Anthony Johnson's ordination. Please take a photo of yourself holding a sign with one word to describe Anthony or to bless his ministry. I know you want to be part of this. So send your photos to ordination@phoenixuu.org by October 14th. Yesterday's parade to the polls was a lot of fun. There is one more parade supporting Invest in ED Prop 208 today, leaving UUCP parking lot at 1 p.m. For the next 2 weeks, if and when there is a debate, the Thursday night Vespers will be changed into a debate grounding and processing space. Take your angst, anger, and worry that the debate stirred up and bring it to us. It will be co-led by Reverend Dance and the Lay Pastoral Care Associates. Finally, anyone interested in joining a small group ministry, remember that our monthly drop-in small group is Thursday, October 15th, and everyone is welcome. We are collecting our offering virtually, just like our service. This congregation supports the mission and vision of this congregation through voluntary offerings because we are a spiritual community for your time. We thank you for your generosity for this beloved community. You can text UUCP to 73256. You can donate through the website, or you can send an old-fashioned check. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful.
Good morning, everyone. And hello. I want to ground us by singing Return Again. It's a song about returning to a deep part of our being, the home of our soul. And it seemed like a good way to start a service about, celebrating our non-straight, non-cis members who are so often told this big lie that the way they live is not important, not deep, not permanent. So the lyrics will be in the chat. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Let's do that again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to what you are, return to who you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again, return again. Let's go back to that bridge. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Return to where you are. Home and born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul. Thanks all.
Hi, I'm Katie Resendez, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at UUC Phoenix. So today is October 11th, and it's the day every year that we celebrate National Coming Out Day. I looked in a few different places and tried to figure out why we celebrate it today, and there's a few different ideas. The one I like the most is because on October 11th, 1884, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt was born. There's a lot of debate about whether or not she was a lesbian or queer or fancied the company of other women, which is weird to me that we debate it, because if you consider the time when she was married and the class in which she lived, it was fairly normal for people to have all sorts of different relationships. FDR's relationships were fairly public. A lot of people know who Lucy Mercer is. But yet we have all of this academic work and research that contests whether or not Eleanor Roosevelt was queer. No one seems to contest the fact that she had a relationship years later in her life with a male doctor that she traveled to Europe with. But somehow we get stuck in our history and want proof and facts when it comes to thinking about her being queer. Okay, so as a country, I'm not surprised that we have a problem and are uncomfortable with the idea of a lesbian in the White House. Too bad. There was already one who lived there. Her name, I'm going to have to look at my notes. Her name was Lenora Alice Hickok, and she was a phenomenal journalist. She had a very hard upbringing, ended up supporting herself at about the age of 12. At the age of 15, was out on the road alone, and then found a safe place to live and went back to school and literally worked herself through school. Finding houses to live in, people to clean for, to pay her tuition, to do room and board, and all of those things. And she was fascinated by how we talk about other people and the stories we tell, which is interesting because the story of her life keeps getting retold in different ways and refigured. She was, I don't want to mess up the name of the newspaper. It is the Minnesota Tribune, and she was one of the first women in the country to serve on an editorial board. But there she served as an editor. She had her own byline. She assigned articles, all sorts of things like that. And she was also eventually assigned to write about the SS Vestris, which was a ship, a US Navy ship that sunk. But her article was really important because it was a phenomenal article. It was considered hard news, which women weren't often allowed to do. And it was published in the New York Times under her own byline. She was the very first woman ever to be credited with writing a journalist story in the New York Times. That's amazing. We talk about representation matters, but can you imagine having a time when not only were you not represented in the media, you weren't even allowed to be part of it and part of creating it? It seems pretty unfathomable, but I'm fairly certain that right now there are people who feel that pressure. Her career went on. She became a political writer. She got a job with the Associated Press, and she was one of the wire service's top correspondents. And again, she had that role of going out into spaces where women weren't allowed before and saying, yes, of course we can write about these things. Of course we can study these things. And she ended up in the White House. She ended up in the White House because she insisted on being allowed to cover FDR's first campaign. And for the 4 months of that campaign, she became close and personal friends with Eleanor Roosevelt. When Miss Roosevelt became First Lady, she invited her to live in the house, And they spent lots of time together. They were, their families were integrated. She was part of the community, and she got to continue doing press work. In fact, she was the one who helped Eleanor Roosevelt be the first lady to write a regular column in the newspaper and to host regular press conferences, because that was completely unheard of before then. Hick, as Miss Hickok was called, was a big proponent of people speaking their truth and showing the truth of what was going on. She took a role in the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, in which she went around the entire country and looked at the most destitute, most poverty-stricken areas in the country and reported back to the White House and to other government officials. And she had an amazing eye. She was doing intersectional, cross-generational, interracial work before people were even talking about it. She was in Canada looking at, or she was in rather Maine looking at the French Canadians and going, these people are the poorest, not because they're stupid, not because their language isn't like everyone else's, but because there's hatred against them. She went to the South and talked about Black rights and talked about the rights of former slaves and how they had to be fought for. She went to Oklahoma and looked at families where 2 or 3 mothers would live together with 15 kids because their husbands had all been killed by just the hardship of life out there, and what it meant for those families and those women to be raising kids and running farms on their own. She was a phenomenal reporter, and she was an amazing poet. A lot of her poetry went into love letters, or maybe they weren't love letters. Maybe they were just regular correspondence to her dear friend Eleanor. She was a phenomenal woman. And it strikes me as sad that her history and her life as a lesbian, and most of all as a journalist and a powerful actor in the world, is shaded by us deciding whether or not she was in love with the First Lady or the First Lady was in love with her. It's almost like we want to erase these moments of love from our history. But hopefully today on National Coming Out Day, you have the chance to think about love and to think about more love and how we can honor and embrace it and encourage it instead of debating it. Because it doesn't really feel like it's ours to debate. I don't think it is at all. Oh, I also have to tell you one more thing. Hick, when described by other people, was often said, yes, she prefers the friendship of women, but most of all, she prefers her own company and that of her 2 dogs, which somehow doesn't surprise me. I hope you all have a wonderful week and that you feel powerful in all of your identities and that you feel strong and loved because you are so very loved.
It is the time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share. It is good to support each other and to connect. Please write any joys or sorrows or what you want our community to know. Put your name at the beginning, please, so that I know who it is. And if you want it to be private only to me and the other panelists and not to be shared, please put the word private at the beginning and just put it to panelists. I will hold it in my heart. So today is National Coming Out Day, a day to support lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer of all types, people coming out of the closet. But let us commit to support and celebrate the LGBTQIA community every single day. And let's hope for a time when we do not need a National Coming Out Day, because coming out will no longer be an issue. So while you are entering your joys and sorrows, let me mention a few other in our world. We do send our love and support to those in the Gulf Coast who are recovering from their 4th hurricane this summer. We send them patience and power and resilience and a commitment to fight to solutions for global climate change. And I wanted to tell you that yesterday was a joyful day of love at UUCP, where we celebrated the wedding of Debbie Westwood and her new bride, Gabby. The wedding was held at 10 a.m. on 10/10 in a very socially distant way, just 2 witnesses, 2 excellent UUCP photographers, and myself. It was a morning filled with love and laughter. Now, to turn to the joys and sorrows of our community. Jason says he's got a joy over a new job to work with the LGBTQ community. Hooray. Marshall Valentine says from the UU, the vote call recipients Carlton Leak and family, and for the state of Arizona, please hold these prayer requests in your heart. Katie Pacelli Klinger says, I have so much joy in my heart this morning. I'm truly honored to be here with all of you. I love you all very much. Donna Talbot says, we hope that we are all safe from militias. May it be so. Nora has a joy, a child being out of the hospital and being together. The sorrow, of course, is a daughter in the hospital. And so I am seeing some political things and other things going on. I do want to make these personal. We have so many political things going on, and I hold all of that trouble in our hearts as well. But we could go on for an hour on that. Laurel Hardin says, I am happy to share that I celebrated my birthday on October 9th by going out for cheesecake and 10 repetitions of walking up and down the bleacher steps. So thank you and happy birthday, Laurel. And Shirley Karras says, our son-in-law grew a 2,276-pound giant pumpkin and won first prize at the Rhode Island Way Off yesterday and set a record for Rhode Island. I just want to know how he got it there. That's absolutely amazing. So thank you to all of you, and for the joys and sorrows that are still in our hearts and on our minds and weighing on us, both in our country and our personal lives. I send you my love and my comfort. And I invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. So as you are comfortable, settle your body, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaws, relax your hands, ground your body in your chair, or put your feet on the floor. Breathe. Breathe, my dear ones. For the many for whom prayer has been used against you to deny the beauty of who you are, I offer you this prayer. Dear God of many names, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, you who open doors and dismantle barriers, we open our hearts to the fullness of each and every one of our beautiful human siblings. We ask for guidance, for remembrance, and for affirmation, that we might live the full truth of who we are, that we might live as neighbors and friends, no longer strangers and enemies, that we can open our hearts to the transformation of love, that we might reconcile the conflict in ourselves and others, moving towards peace and learning war no more, that we might be the people who can project love into the world, showing how we can be when we are fully welcoming, fully authentic, fully loving. We pray this for our sakes and for all of our beloved siblings of every kind, and with the knowledge that none of us can be whole and free until we can all be whole and free.
In this panel, me and my dad in a diner.
Where's Betty?
She went home. Lorna's on now.
Caption: my dad and I both grew up in the same small Pennsylvania town.
Oh.
And I didn't know it, but both of us were gay.
Where's your beret?
And we were exactly alike.
Put it back in. Keeps the hair out of your eyes.
So what a crew cut.
And we were nothing alike.
Do not take it out again.
Which was it, Dad?
Get Lorna. Need coffee.
You didn't notice her at first, Dad, but I did. I saw her the minute she walked in. I'd never seen a woman who looked like her. It was like I was a traveler in a foreign country who runs into someone from home. Someone they've never met before, but somehow just recognizes.
Someone just came in the door, like no one I ever saw before. I feel. I don't know where you came from. I wish I did. I feel so dumb. I feel your swagger and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing, your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and your keys. Oh, your ring of keys. I thought it was supposed to be wrong, but you seem okay with being strong. I want. You're so. It's probably conceited to say, but I think we're alike in a certain way. Your swagger and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing, your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and your keys. Oh, your ring of keys. Do you feel my heart saying hi in this whole luncheonette? Why am I the only one who sees you're beautiful? No, I mean handsome. Your swagger and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing, your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and
Good morning, everyone. As I said before, my name is Katie Quinn. I use she, her pronouns, but I'm completely comfortable with they, them, theirs. I've spoken about my coming out story a few times in front of you all, so I thought I would take a different approach this morning. I came out when I was 13. This was before the legalization of same-sex marriage, which at the time was a hot topic of debate and a dream for many others. On June 26, 2015, that right was legalized in America. However, almost 1 year later to the date, we cried for our fellow community members who were murdered in the Orlando shooting. Since then, I have increasingly witnessed my generation begin to normalize being part of the LGBTQ+ community. When I arrived at a new school in my 10th grade year, I was invited to sit at a table where each person introduced themselves with their preferred name and preferred pronouns, where each teacher also respected those titles and made sure others were respectful as well. I arrived at Arizona State University almost a month ago, and my professor talked about inclusivity and put herself forward as an active advocate that we could always come to if we needed help. While progress has been made, and I have been lucky enough to be in the places where that has been true, there is always more work to be done. Since 2010, only around 20 states have outlawed conversion therapy. Even though I was at an anti-bullying, all-inclusive school, while I was dating my first girlfriend, we still struggled with hate. We were spat on and called names, and even stalked and harassed sometimes online. There was still a fear that if we walked down the wrong part of town holding hands, that we might get some unwanted attention. Coming Out Day is a day of celebration about who we are and how far we've come. However, progress is gradual, and while we celebrate our victories, we must also continue our work to progress forward and support our fellow communities. When asked about what coming out means to me now, honestly, I feel as though it's not really relevant to my day-to-day life. I feel as though it is one of a million parts of who I am. Being gay plays such a small factor into who I am and how I live my life. I get to live every day not hiding who I am. However, I am completely aware that this is a privilege. To be free to be me is a freedom many cannot afford. I am lucky to have supportive parents who have provided me with communities such as UUCP that would show me that same love and acceptance. Because if there is one thing I wish that everyone could feel and know, is that you do not need to change, and you are beautiful just the way you are.
Hi there. Our name is Devon Kehler, and we prefer plural pronouns like they, them, their, we, us, or ours, though we're really not too fussed if feminine pronouns are used in connection to our body either. So let's see. Our coming out story has been ongoing and unfolding for the better part of 20 years. We came out initially in our late teens and feel we must continue to do so now in our mid-30s because we want to be the ones to tell the stories about who we are. And we have to do that every time we meet new people or move or change jobs or change doctors. We want to be the ones to control the narrative about our bodies and not allow societal norms or assumptions to write or tell those stories for us.
My name is Donna Talbot. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I came out when I was in my late 40s, but I didn't get to live my dream until I let go of all my fears. I divorced my husband back in 1994, and I got together with a good friend of mine, and we were going to be buddies and share a house, rent, and so forth. And well, I guess buddies turned into a little bit something deeper. We became a couple, and then we got legally married in 2014. It pleases me immensely to fill out forms and put her name down as my spouse, the person to call in case she's needed. So it's never too late. Come out wherever you are.
I'm Katherine, she and her. By being out, I'm authentic. I end the oppression of my spirit. My light shines, my life force flows, and I am free.
I'm Marshall Valentine, and I currently label myself as a gay male, previously a bisexual male, and former to that, a straight male. Being fluid with my sexuality allows me to be my full self.
Hi, I'm Karen Schultz, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I came out in 1982 to my mom. It was important to me to be transparent and honest to my mom about who I was. As I evolved, I realized it's important for me to come out, to show that we really are like everyone else. We're your neighbors, co-workers, your sister, your friend. I call it the Harvey Milk effect based on this quote. Every gay person must come out. Once they realize we are indeed their children, we are indeed everywhere, every myth, every lie, every innuendo will be destroyed once and for all. Harvey Milk. Thank you.
My name is Jan Kaplan, and I go by she, her pronouns. Coming out brought the exhilaration and relief of just not having to lie or hide or ignore anymore. It was a letting go of control, of the weight of it, of the burden of living as a partial person. I'd have to admit that coming out also brought a trepidation about the consequences for personal safety and career and friendships. But it was freeing to get to a point of neither looking for judgments nor seeking approval.
She says I smell like safety and home. I name both of her eyes, forever, and please don't go. I could be your morning sunrise all the time, yeah. This could be good, this could be good, and I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, my love. She keeps me warm, she keeps me warm. What's your middle name? Do you hate your job? Do you fall in love too easily? What's your favorite word? Like missing girls? Can I call you baby? Yeah, yeah. She says that people stare 'cause we look so good together. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I can't change, even if I try. Love is kind, love is patient, love is kind. My love, my love, my love, my love. She keeps me warm, she keeps me warm.
Oh, Katie, how lucky we are to have you. There is no crying on Sunday, there is celebrating on Sunday. And thank you to all of the UUCP community members who shared just a little snippet of your stories with us and telling us why it's important to come out. It's so good to see your faces. One of the many times that I have been so proud to be a Unitarian Universalist was when I participated in a coming out party at my UU congregation. This was about 10 years ago. A member who had been a bastion of the church had left a note at the doorstep of a notable lesbian couple in the church asking to speak to them. At age 62, he had decided it was time to come out as gay. He had grown up in a small conservative town in the 50s, in a religious family with no internet or mention of homosexuality, and he just thought he was different, but didn't know how or why. He had married a woman and they had a wonderful marriage, and she supported him as he came to understanding about himself. They had 2 wonderful children and several grandchildren. His wife died several years before. He had mourned and decided it was time. And he was asking the lesbians, exactly how do you do this coming out thing? He was terrified and nervous and had no idea what to do. Well, they did. They called all of the other LGBTQ people in the congregation, and we threw a heck of a party. We sent out invitations to folks in the congregation telling them it was a coming out party. We decorated the fellowship hall with rainbows of every kind. We wore colorful outfits and boas and made rainbow cake and cookies and gay punch, and there were sparkles everywhere. People came to the event with high spirits, with great excitement, and they had no idea who the party was for. And when the time was right, with the Diana Ross's I'm Coming Out song over the loudspeakers, he came out from his hiding place, a closet, of course. I loved our congregation because he was embraced with squeals and hugs and kisses and dancing and joy. We celebrated his authentic self and his bravery, and we welcomed him into the queer community with all of the kitsch and frivolity that we could muster. It was the kind of coming out that I wish every single person could have. If you did not know by now, I am a proud, proud member of the LGBTQ community. In my life, I have come out as bisexual, and I have come out as lesbian, and I have come out as queer. And although I know that queer has a negative connotation for some, I love that many of our younger generations have reclaimed that word to represent a wide range of people who don't fit squarely in the heterosexual, cisgendered box that society once told us we had to fit into. I am proud to be a queer woman, to love who I love, to express my gender and my sexual orientation as it is comfortable for me. It has not always been easy for me, but it has been far easier for me than it has been for many. I am out and proud because I do not believe that I can preach about the worth and dignity of all of you unless I see my own as fully worthy and fully beautiful. I am out because I am proud of my wife and I love to show her off. I am out because it shows our children that they can be whoever they want to be, love whoever they want, express themselves however they want. I have specific coming out stories to my family, but I want to be clear on this. I come out on a daily basis, especially as someone who walks through the world as a white woman who passes for straight. It is assumed that I'm straight unless I say otherwise. And as a female queer minister, it raises eyebrows all the time. There are many who don't believe women should be ministers. But when I mention my wife or that I'm part of the LGBTQ community, well, let's just say it's fun to watch their expressions. And to put a very fine point on it, the most discrimination I have ever received has been at the hands of other religious professionals. Coming out is a political statement. It says to the world, I am here. You cannot overlook me. You cannot say that you like me, but then carve out this part of me and say, well, except for that part. You cannot admire how I look at my wife, but then support someone for political office who wants to take away our right to be legally married. Coming out is a political statement because I lived in Orlando, Florida, and worked as a chaplain in the hospital system where victims of the Pulse massacre were being treated in the summer of 2016. The club that was a sanctuary to my community became a house of horror, and 49 of our young, mostly brown siblings died, and dozens more were injured and scarred for life. I come out because I can, on behalf of my family members who couldn't, on behalf of centuries when people couldn't, and on behalf of those who still can't. And just to be very clear, there are many people who still can't. It will risk their jobs, their homes, and even their lives. It is an act of bravery to come out, but for some, it is a risk that is not worth it, or not worth it yet. So for those of us who can, we must. The religious landscape is still not a safe place for queer folks. Many, many LGBTQ people have been told by the church and their family that they were flawed, damaged, unwelcome, or unworthy by their church or by their family who was influenced by the church. The greatest harms to this community have come at the voice of religion. There are many people who will never step into a church again because the moral injury that was done to them was so severe that trust will not again be regained. And Unitarian Universalism is different. We are one of the denominations that is open and welcoming to our queer siblings and has been for decades, but only decades. And I don't want us to just congratulate ourselves and say our work is done. It is not done in our denomination, and it is not done in our UUCP community. Microaggressions still happen to our LGBTQ folks. Yes, even at UUCP. When we single them out for their queerness, when we ask them to be tokens in a group, when we do not use their correct pronouns, when we do not explicitly say that they are welcome in our groups, we are not living up to the vision that we have to be radically inclusive. This is why we introduce ourselves and use our pronouns, as you saw some of our beloved community members do this. When we all do this, it is not a weight then on the person who uses different pronouns than what a person may expect. They don't have to come out every single time they want to be referenced as their full selves. This is a loving, inclusive way to say, I see the fullness of you. It is a way to say, you don't need to correct me, or worse, be called something that goes against who you are in order to belong in this community. For some of you, I know this still takes a bit of getting used to, and that's okay. We forget and we mess up. I do too. That's all right as well. A little tip, I practice with animals. I practice calling them they or ze or we. It makes it easier to practice and then more able to do it when you do it with humans. You can mess up. It's all right. I have faith in you. And I want you to know that I'm also here for you if you want to get more comfortable with it or want to explore it with me. It's an act of love and it's a statement of who we are. And it is a gift we can gleefully give to all of us. Here at UUCP, we are undertaking a renewal welcoming program. So you see in the 1980s and 90s, when the word welcoming became a code word for lesbian, gay, and bisexual people, the Unitarian Universalist Association launched a welcoming congregation program to help us learn how to undo homophobia and later transphobia in our hearts and in our minds, in our congregations, and in our communities. UUCP was one of those congregations, and we are an official welcoming congregation. The spiritual practice of welcoming is a very important one to our faith community. But we cannot do a program 30 years ago and say, there, we've checked the box, we're done. No, being a welcoming community is an evolving process. We need to continue to be more welcoming. And we have new people coming into our community all the time. And we must make sure that everyone understands what we mean when we say welcoming. And that welcoming means something bigger every time that we say it. We must always challenge ourselves to be better at it. So this year, we are starting with the annual Welcoming Renewal Program. It means that we will renew our commitment that we made when we became an official welcoming congregation, that we'll have 2 worship services on LGBTQ issues. This is one of them. We will recognize at least 6 LGBTQ days of observance, like National Coming Out Day, like Transgender Day of Remembrance, or Bisexual Visibility Day, for example. We will offer a welcoming religious education program through our children's ministries, and we will do some kind of social justice outreach, education, or community involvement. We have already reached out to Trans Queer Pueblo, an amazing organization of queer, mostly transgender, mostly immigrant, many undocumented people here in Phoenix who are doing great work to advocate for their rights. They're going to talk to us about the problematic issues of Phoenix Pride. So, and particularly how it's not been welcoming to our LGBTQ people of color. We hope to have that balance of understanding the layers of how we can be proud and even march in a parade when we get to have a parade someday, but also understand the challenges that lie within the system. We will do some version of this every year. I would love some help in this, some people who would like to work on the team to make this possible, so it is work that the entire congregation is proudly moving forward, not just me. Please let me know if you are interested. So coming out, it is important. It is life-saving for so many who have been told that this part of them is unholy and unworthy. It is a statement of integration and also one of defiance. It is a statement that demands that people see the beautiful rainbow of who we are. Coming out is a uniquely LGBTQ experience, but it doesn't have to relate only to this community. I want you all to think about the things that you've come out as, or things that have been difficult to say, or that aren't accepted as a norm. For example, for some people, coming out as a divorced person is very painful. For some, coming out as a parent who has lost a child is a recurringly painful, but also validating act. For some, coming out as someone who has an addiction is a humbling but empowering experience. And for some, coming out as someone who needs financial or emotional help is a way to invite community into your life. So how are the ways that you have or you can come out? How can you live your most authentic and truthful life? Let me make it even more granular and relevant right now. How many of you are afraid of putting political signs in your yard because it means you'll be coming out in one way or another? Yesterday, we put markers all over our windows with all of our signs about voting, and we drove to the polls. And as we were leaving, we were like, oh wait, now we're a parade of one, and all of our signs are still on our window. And I said to Karen, this is what we're talking about tomorrow. How does it feel to be more vulnerable and also to stand up for what you believe? And remember, not everyone can come out. But are you hiding yourself because you can't, or because it is a risk? And how much of a risk is it really? And what are the implications of staying hidden? For those of you who have come out, I am so proud of you. I am proud of you for being your full self. For those of you who can't come out, I send you all of my support and love. For those of you who love those who have come out, thank you for being beloved community. We love in solidarity. Our love is welcoming, and we will keep working until every place of worship is safe, every relationship, every way of expressing yourself, every way of being seen is holy and beautiful. So might it be for every single one of us.
Thanks, Christine. So, Reverend Christine just outlined some ways that all of us can come out, so you're all invited to sing this with me. Lyrics will be in the chat. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. got to let it show that I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show that I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Here's the verse. There's a new me coming out. I just have to live. I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Again, I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Gotta show the world, I've got to show the world all that I wanna be, all my abilities. There's so much more to me, somehow I'll have to make them. Just understand, I got it well in hand, and oh, how I've planned. I'm spreading love, there is no need to fear, and I just feel so good every time I hear I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Said I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Everybody singing now, said I'm coming out. I'm coming, I'm coming out. Oh, now I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Everybody now, I'm coming out. I want the world to know, got to let it show. Oh yeah, I'm coming out. Thanks, everybody.
Woohoo! Benji, it was dancing and singing. That was awesome. So much fun. Oh, so before closing words, I want to invite you to coffee hour after the service. The rooms will be in the chat and will be on the final slide. Visitors, we hope you will join us. We're a very friendly bunch. There's 2 coffee hours. There's one for everyone, and there's one specifically for our kiddos today. I'm going to be joining the kids today, and Benji's going to be managing the other one. So, and as a reminder, please check on each other. Tell your LGBTQ folks that you are glad that they are out and that you support them. Just send them a little note. And join me for our closing words. Come out to be the radical, awesome, unique person that you are. Come into the community that is ever growing to be more welcoming and authentic. Come through the trials and into the joy. And know that you are perfect, just as you are, and that you are so very loved. Go in peace, go in love, and go in all of the rainbows.